Getting it squared away, y'all. Hope everybody's well. First Friday in March. Had to move the studio cameras around a little bit. I wanted to see if I can get a different type of angle, make it easier. We're going to go back and forth because I think there'll be some vital information that we need to cover. Make sure I get my new warm elixir together. Lemonade Mountain Dew. I don't know where the hell I got this concoction, but can't be without it. That's gotta relax. Okay. Well, it's Friday night, y'all. It is the 4th day in February in the year of 2022. What day of the year is it where you are right now? Hopefully everybody's well. As I said before, I changed the angle of the camera a little bit. I wanted to see if I can make sure I can encapsulate my view. There's a lot of vital information. I'm hoping to be able. What is this? Okay. Something I'll be able to impart on you with regards to latest news. But again, welcome to the show. My name is Mo Delgado. Welcome to the New Norm 2.0. I'm your host, Mo Delgado. I'm not certain if my co-host, my partner in crime, Adrian, will be able to log in this evening. He might be predisposed. But if he is, he'll log on. If not, we'll do the best we can to hold it down without him for now. Just advance notice. This, I think, will be the last broadcast of the New Norm 2.0 for the season. We have to go back and reconfigure and rethink whether we want to continue using this platform and how we move forward, how we're doing this, how to make it better. So the next time you see me, it may not be the new norm, it may be something else. However, we'll continue with the same intent, hopefully better, more fluid, active content for you so you can enjoy it. Remember, our intent is always to bring you into the conversation. The conversation is about things around us. Since the pandemic, America and the world has had to readjust in things. And one of the primary factors behind this is we've all had to face a new norm in our lives, and that's where the name comes from. The New Norm 2.0 is the second rendition of what was initially first called the New Norm, or the New Normal, or El Normal Nuevo. When we first started some 2 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago. So with regards to the show, please enjoy what we have to offer. And if you'd like to participate, all you have to do is log in through the chat room, and we will make it available to you so you can possibly chime in and utilize the, what is this? We'll go back. I don't know what happened. I always say Facebook has a mind of its own, and it loves to play tricks and do things when it wants to do things. So I don't know what it is, but I have a good friend, guy I consider like my brother, Biplop Das, said hello and said hi. Biplop, I hope you're well, brother. I don't know what it is, but I hope you and your family is okay. Everyone's doing well. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the news. COVID-19. That's been the premise of what we try to bring forth. The reason why things have changed. COVID-19 has caused the world to readjust, to do things, to start anew, to realign our ways and methods so we're more effective, more efficient, and a lot more loving to one another. At least I hope so. Doesn't look like it from current news dealing with Ukraine and other areas of the world. But let's start off with COVID-19. If you've been paying attention to news lately, it seems to be a growing trend that restrictions are now ending at different states. Restrictions meaning mandates to wear masks, the limitations of how many people can be in an enclosed area. Those things are changing state for state. The first one that I saw it happening with was Florida, which you saw an announcement from governor in Florida in Tampa Bay in front of children with masks. He was upset with them about wearing masks um, because he wanted to ensure that the mandate was over. He kept saying it's over. The people don't have to wear it and what have you. And he was really angry and upset with these kids. And it looked really bad for him to be so angry with the children. They can do what they want to as far as the mask is concerned. It's about taking care of themselves and everyone else in their homes and their family members. So the governor, shame on you for even thinking that was okay to do. Regardless of how much you want to look a certain type of way, my man, you just look Floridian once again. And this is from one Floridian to another. You should have just kept on going and stopped showing your emotions. It doesn't look good if you're really trying to run for president. Good luck. Anyway, moving forward, as it says, here in New Jersey, earlier today, Governor Murphy announced public health emergencies on Monday will end. He's done his last briefing in Trenton on his 2-year anniversary, and on Monday, the restrictions shall end. So, welcome back to the hoopla, welcome back to the madness all over the place. So, coming from Atlantic City, that just means all kinds of things are welcome to happen, all kinds of activities that were once the regular are welcome to happen. The only thing I'm going to say is be very cautious. Be very, very cautious. One of the few things that I think we've learned is that when we're reckless, the end result may end up working against us. So it's not to say that I'm not also looking forward to having some freedom, some space, some air to breathe, but I'm not looking forward to getting sick when it comes to reckless human beings doing reckless things. I'm not one to be reckless. However, I do enjoy life. And sometimes I'll go on a trip or journey, and then I'll end up in locations that have a lot of people in, whether it's a music venue or a restaurant, or just I want to get some imbibement, some stuff that's right behind it. Some liquor. I want to take a drink here and there. I want to enjoy myself at a bar. Hopefully that won't necessarily work against me. So with that being said, just pay attention as you move around, and let's be very mindful at what is still dwelling. We haven't got a cure for COVID-19, as well as any other illness that seems to be lingering around. So we have to be very, very certain that what we do doesn't cause more health concerns and leave us in a real bad disposition. I'm trying to make sure my background music is good, y'all. Give me a second. So, hoping everyone is well. It's such sad music. I don't know what. Let's see. I'm just waiting. One more second. Okay. There is no cheerful music listed here. What is wrong? Sounds like StreamYard is depressed. Let me go into space. Okay. All right. So Murphy issued his first public health emergency in March of 2020. So now it's March of 2022. 2 years ago, he made agreement with the state legislature to keep some measures in place, but reinstated the last rounds of orders in January. So now with the state legislature and the governor in agreement that it's okay to go on and move forward and lift some of the restrictions. Some of the restrictions are specific, the ones that were enacted. Restrictions about the amount of people and how many people in a certain venue or one location or company, and the amount of people working having to be mandated to wear masks or what have you, and the company itself had to ensure that people were vaccinated. All those things are restricted. So, with that being said, if New York does the same thing, welcome back, Kyrie Irving. Enjoy your return, man. Come make this the Brooklyn better than they have done in the past. But now in Jersey and everywhere else, you have the opportunity to enjoy yourselves. Now that we're staring down spring, never forget though, this weather is something not to play with. There is a cold front coming from the west. It's coming in strong intensities, but not in a widespread. In the upper echelons of the atmosphere, there's a high pressure pushing things down. So that's why the cold Arctic blast is coming down. So next week around the same time, we should be looking at very moderate temperature. Then all of a sudden it's going to be a cold dive, 20 to 30 degrees south. So be careful with that. Because we're not out of the woods yet, we're still in great concern because the way this atmosphere is, global warming, and the different measures that have changed things around, we could be impacted with a lot worse weather than we're ready for. There's still they're suspecting a lot of moisture to take place from Tuesday on to Friday of next week. So make sure you have your rain boots, y'all. Do what you got to do to stay dry. We'll see how it goes, y'all. But the weather does play of interest. Now, I can't continue with this music. Y'all killing me with this nonsense, y'all. And I can't add my own right now. Let me see if Dan's probably back to some of the discussions that we were talking about before. As far as the news concerned, something that's been center stage in the news all over the world right now is the war in Ukraine. Ukraine used to be a part of the United Soviet Socialist Republic, back when the Cold War was active, Ukraine was a very important element of USSR. When the financial dilemmas that happened and the USSR fell apart and finances pushed for the separation of different countries, creating independent countries, Ukraine was created. Now, the dilemma that we're facing is a multi-layered dilemma. Some of the issues also that we have to really take in consideration. Let's see. Anyway, one of the biggest dilemmas that we're facing is that on the other side of this issue is Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is known to be this egregious, warmongering, Cold War age, ex-KGB oligarch who's trying to do what he possibly can to make sure that he stays in power and Russia becomes equivalent to, if not the most powerful country on the planet, utilizing whatever means he has possible. The latest news suggests that the Ukraine's two power plants, nuclear power plants, are now being controlled by Russia. Recent soldiers have moved into all the major cities, minus Kiev, but they seem to be encircling Kiev. And hopefully, in their point of view, they want to take Kiev also. But there is an international front developing in Poland and outside of the area, with soldiers coming from different parts of the planet coming in to assist the Ukraine army or military, as well as the civilians, have done an amazing job defending itself. They've suffered lots of losses, especially damages to the city and the cities in the other areas, but they also suffered quite a lot of life lost in life. However, in doing what they've been doing all along, they make sure that they share that grief with Russia. They've taken out tanks, they've taken out planes. The infamous aerial assault that's coming from one of the airmen from Ukraine, also known as the Ghost, is taking down planes left and right, including old world MiGs. Russia is known for high velocity, high intensity air combat airplanes. Well, this guy, the Ghost, is what they're calling him. He's showing a superiority in the air, and he's blasting people left and right, taking them out. So he's causing a big loss to Russia as well as the ground war. They're utilizing weapons that are actually given to them by our allied countries, including the United States, and they're utilizing them. And what they're doing is creating more of an issue for Russia to come in and trying to take over Ukraine than they thought they had. A lot of strategists are suggesting that Russia is being pushed in a corner, making to believe that they have to pull all stops to push in efforts to take Ukraine the way they've intended to, because in the way and measures they're doing it slowly, they're suffering more losses than they can continue taking. The issues that seem to be trickling around the world are the sanctions that are getting pushed upon Russia by other parts of the world, the other countries, their allies, and what have you. It's also backfiring on its citizens, because the sanctions take away from the opportunity of petroleum, oil, being shipped from Russia over to other nations, and those nations sharing it with the other nations here and there, and the gas prices, because gas comes from petroleum oil, or crude oil, sorry. And so because of the cost of crude oil shooting up because of the dilemma in Russia, it's trickling down to regular average people like you and I. Recently, we've seen reports of gas prices going up 40 cents overnight in prices as far as gasoline. But of course, knowing how the China supply chain is, nations in the OPEC have a source of crude oil on their own. However, they rely on being able to ship back and forth from the countries within OPEC nations to be able to support and supply the needs for their country. As you've seen, people like the UAE, United Arab Emirates, in the last measures against Russia have stepped back and declined to vote for or against sanctions, or for or against any kind of military action. UAE depends on being able to have that relationship back and forth with Russia and other communist nations or allies to Russia all over the world, to be able to continue having that funnel of exchange economy that depends heavily on oil. You'll see that same type of connection with India as well as with China. Those are the three biggest powers on that side of the planet: Russia, China, and India. They all have access to, if not nuclear weapons. So all the allied nations around that are NATO and NATO friendly are in negotiations, actually trying to see what they can do to negotiate with China, to side with the allies, to put pressure, not to create war or cause war. Because I think it's a worldwide sentiment to say that world war would be something beyond horrible happening. Because if Putin gets what he's intentionally or intending to do, the end result could be a horrifying end to society as we see now. It would be nuclear warfare all over the place, and would be an extinction process developing, something that we don't want to see. We know that right now America has delayed the readiness of their ICBM missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, which travel some excess of 900 miles an hour. It's a supersonic missile that can travel from one continent to the next at rapid speeds and at high elevations. That makes it very difficult for any flying apparatus to take these missiles out. Also, the way it's built and as big as it is, it takes a lot of power to try to destroy a missile of sorts. And because America is armed with many types of missiles alongside of that, as well as the Guardian missiles, and also the Patriot missiles that defend our air if necessary. And that's not even to talk about the Navy's potential use of rail guns. The Navy has these high-tech rail guns attached to, to the ships that can cause more rapid damage at longer distances than any other naval ship can do. I don't think there's anyone around the world that has a Navy with equipment like that can do that type of damage. That's another reason why Russia is trying to make sure that they have full access to the Black Sea, because they know the Black Sea is a weakness. If Black Sea is still open for the Allies, then the United States and anyone else who's part of this allied nation can come together and possibly attack Russia from its weakest point, which is the Black Sea. And then coming from Poland, and then the Arctic Circle as well, because I've said this before, U.S. military has been on full alert in the Arctic Circle for months now. And also Norway's been involved, Finland, other allied nations have been ready at the Arctic Circle to make moves or push forward. So we're talking about, I think it's Nevada-class submarines in the Arctic Circle, ready to blast if necessary. So we're talking about the type of war that we all have had nightmares about could possibly happen if Putin gets what he wants. Some of the issues are reported as saying that Putin is becoming extremely nervous about things, so much so that he's separating himself even more so from his most trusted allies. His personal friends don't seem to have good conversations with him. He's very testy. He seems to be pushing people further away. So a lot of physicians, mental health specialists are saying that he could be going through some emotional breakdown. He was just recently reported saying he made an address nationally to suggest that to all the allies of Russia or the adjoining countries surrounding Russia to not continue the sanctions, that it would be proper, and they don't want Russia has no ill intent on doing anything negative or wrong with Ukraine and its people, that it shouldn't continue with the sanctions. So these sanctions, unfortunately, are hurting the Russian people, the very innocent Russian people that have already had to suffer from having a ruler like Vladimir Putin. But Vladimir Putin, of course, has been well known to be the coddling master to all the Russian oligarchs, Abramovich being one of them. Abramovich is the owner of the largest ship on the planet. That largest ship was recently taken out of the seas of, if I'm not mistaken, from the Bahamas region, and it was sailing over the Atlantic as quickly as possible because they know America has stated that it's going after all assets of all Russians in and around the globe, including that ship. That ship it was over $800 billion to build this ship. It's preposterous the amount of money that was used to build this huge, it looks like a damn island. That's how big it is. It's probably a continent size. It is huge. But Abramovich, the owner of Manchester United, I think it's Manchester United, who's recently said to wanting to sell the football team, soccer team, because he doesn't want to put the team and the league in any kind of disposition that makes them have to side with or against Russia and Russian. You know, he wants to sound as if he cares. We don't know if he does, but he's still a Russian oligarch. But Putin has been coddling to all his friends, the oligarchs, the ones that basically he sees equal, the only people he really cares about. And all of them are leaning to him, says they don't want war either. They're feeling the tight squeeze on them. These oligarchs have made millions, if not billions, if not trillions of dollars on the hardship that Russians and other people around the world have earned or have been under siege by. It's really disturbing how the Russian ecosystem, and it's not the people doing this, but it's the systems that are involved. The Russian ecosystem has done so badly for so many of its people. A lot of good people in Russia, and I wish you all a lot of peace and safety in their hearts. Like I send my prayers and thoughts to Ukrainian people and people in the surrounding areas. However, one of the hardest truths that we see dealing with war is sometimes the interaction with human beings around war. Recently, you've seen reports showing Ukrainian people trying to flee outside of Ukraine using public transportation, the trains or what have you. In the same short flash, you've seen the really horrible treatment of immigrants coming from other countries who live in Ukraine, go to school, work, service in Ukraine, but have been treated unfairly. A lot of people have seen some harsh treatment to the Africans that are there. People have migrated from Africa, different nations in Africa to work and then to be educated in Ukraine. A lot of people coming from India. Just recently, an Indian man has reported to the news source Gravitas that he's still in the Ukraine, chooses not to leave the Ukraine because he wants to assist the Ukrainian people in the best way he can. He's a med student. So this man is showing his allegiance to try to assist, following his, I don't know if the students there take the Hippocratic Oath, but it's honorable that this young man who is studying medicine in Ukraine, staying there to try to help the men and women who may need him. So God bless him and protect him over there in Ukraine. However, as we're looking more and more reports, we're starting to see a lot of the evidence of racism that still exists throughout those parts of the nation. The existence of Nazi or neo-Nazi behavior has emerged once again in Europe, and it's been developing. I don't think it's ever ended. However, it's hid underground for so long. But in the age of Trump, you saw more of the ugly face rear its ugly head, and society seeing more of it. Ukraine has been targeted as being a safe haven for neo-Nazi and Nazi German mentality, or the white supremacist mentality, or the theologies involved with white supremacy. It's been noted to having these giant models of individuals who are Nazis. It's showing a lot of the real truths, mixed messages around the world, even much so that Russia, or Vladimir Putin, they kept saying one of the motivations of his movement, his aggression towards Ukraine, is to go against neo-Nazi, the elements of neo-Nazism and the people who are promoting neo-Nazi fascism in the Ukraine. This is one of the elements that he seems to be pushing. Are we seeing this in the treatment of Africans trying to flee? Are we seeing this in the treatment of people who are of Indian descent, or people coming directly from Lower Asia, and how they're being treated by Ukrainian people, the European people there, the Caucasians from the Caucasus Mountains, of course, there? I don't know, but this is it's a very powerful notion that we have to take consideration. I think, in my own personal opinion, we still have to be very considerate of the innocent people all over the world, no matter what the disposition and the philosophies that seem to be emerging from in those nations. But innocence is something that we need to protect at all stakes. One of the hardest truths of this disposition developing Ukraine is the fear that what could happen is that by any movement to try to assist Ukraine, this could be seen as an act of war by Putin. And because he is ready and willing to fight and enact all levels of strategic conversation, or lack of a better term, he just wants to hit buttons and fire off missiles, and he wants to prove that he's the toughest guy on the block. His old world KGB mentality reeks of a mental breakdown, and he wants to basically explode upon the Western America, Western part of society. The truth of the matter is that we have to be very, very careful moving forward how we, as America, how we interact in that part of the nation. Are we ready to address Russia at a level so quick, so swift, and so strong that he won't be able to hit any buttons and cause any long-term damage? I don't know. I don't want to see it tested either, because if we don't and we're not quick enough, then there's a potential of life loss that we've never seen in the past, and it's horrible to even consider it. So recently, Ukraine had asked the United Nations to enact a no-fly zone over Ukraine for Russian air attack, air assaults, anything like this. Well, the United States declined. They can't enact a no-fly zone because, in essence, if a Russian plane comes into Ukrainian airspace and the United States airship shoots that down, that could be seen as an act of war, and then it will be absolutely addressed just like it was an act of war. So it's something that we need to be very careful moving forward, because at any time the response could be something that we've never wanted to, and I don't know if we're prepared to face. As we move forward, let's just pay attention to how things are going. Ukraine is a very sensitive situation. Volodymyr Zelensky has seemed to be exemplifying great leadership there in the Ukraine and recruiting as many people as possible. Recently, he just signed a request to admit Ukraine into the European Union. In doing so, it makes him an ally to all the people in the European Union, which Spain, I think, is still part of the European Union. France, I think, is still part of the EU. I know that through Brexit, the United Kingdom is no longer part of the European Union, so it doesn't naturally support, it won't enact a defense coming from the UK, but it will potentially require that the Spanish and French military step up in assistance to the Ukraine. Ukraine is also, Zelensky had mentioned, he had already enacted a request to be admitted into NATO, and was recently being discussed at the last General Assembly of being afforded an opportunity to at least make an address to be admitted. It was not necessarily answered to at that time, because the first stages he did get approval for the first stages, so it's multiple stages for it to continue. So I would assume that the General Council should be meeting, probably if they're not meeting this week, they should be meeting really soon to admit. I don't know if this is going to be a good idea, allowing such a bold, swift move into it, but I think it's something that's required. Welcome to the show, my brother Adrian. How are you this afternoon?
Not bad, man. Thank you. What's good?
Hey, man. Another day in paradise, I guess, huh?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm listening to the smooth jazz in the background too, man.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to put something in the background to make it a little easier to digest in between me putting my thoughts together, you know. But
you have that little Zen thing going on, huh?
I'd like to believe so. I'd like to believe so. It seems like we have someone, a friend of yours, who seemed to tap on and get a little what's up.
Sheila. Yeah, very, very, very wonderful lady. Definitely, nothing but the best, no doubt.
Cool. So I think she just wants to make sure that you knew that she's on.
Okay. Yeah.
How you doing, Sheila? Welcome to the show. Hope you enjoy. Get some insightful information if possible. If there's something that you'd like to share with us, please do so. We love having some engaging, good conversation.
Yeah.
So, how was your week, man?
Excellent. And Sheila is one of the executives of the the original Atlantic City Carnival from back in the day when it first came to Atlantic City. She's one of the creators.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Carnival.
Yeah, definitely. She's one of the lead creators of that entire. You remember? This was going back to like 2011 when they were on the boardwalk. You remember? And it was huge. Yeah.
I was there.
She's one of the creators. Yeah. You was there?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
When it first came in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was exciting to hear something like that because I was exposed to it, you know, going to college and having so many friends from the Caribbean and all over parts of the world. just finally getting exposed. And when I heard something like that taking place, I was like, "Man, it's on. Let's go."
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, like I said, something will evolve from and make it huge again. Know that everything is reopening and they're trying to get back to the new normal.
Exactly. I was stating that.
It's a new normal.
Right. I was stating that a little earlier. Let me change the background. The background ain't change it back. I was mentioning earlier how Governor Murphy basically just opened up the doors to act up the way it was before, go back to what we were accustomed to, and let's hope that it doesn't bite us in the rear end.
Yeah, let's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking.
But you see it coming. Did you happen to notice how the governor of Florida, was trying to make an announcement of the snap on the kids?
Mash them in the kids. Is that the one you're referring to?
God, man, I was like, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But the one kid was sitting up there like looking like he's gonna clown him. I was like, you should say something.
Yeah, he was mass shaming those kids, which is not nice. He's always been a bully.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing. Also,
It was just so bad. He's just trying to. The bad part about it is that he forgets there's a hot mic every time he walks into a room, and that's all politicians. All the politicians.
Oh yeah.
Always remember there's a hot mic on at all times.
Somewhere, somehow, especially with cell phones and the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
Everybody's got a cell phone, and every cell phone has a recorder. Yep. Look at it that way, so you're never alone.
Yep. And everyone, no matter how big or how small, will eventually get bit by that whole hot mic concept. So yeah. If you don't care, then cool, let it roll. But if you have concern,
but it'll put your ass in a sling you sooner or later with that hot mic.
Yeah, you're gonna be sitting at the what had happened was
no. You don't have to roll back, back pedal. Mm-hmm. Because with YouTube these days and a hot mic, it's making up a hot mess.
Oh my God, exactly. That's exactly the truth, because it just shows, like I said, when he came in there being egregiously upset of just seeing kids, and they're just kids. First off, don't try to stage anything. That's what I hate about politics and opportunities, trying to use children for these picture opportunities. These ops that they want to create this image with, but you want to come in and being all grimacing and disrespectful to people. They're just kids. They're innocent. It's not their fault. They're just following what their parents tell them or their teachers tell them. So don't get upset on them. So you need one of them crazy ass parents coming from Opelika, Florida, or someplace else, and going to the governor and checking him real quick, like, look, don't ever talk to my child again. Maybe he'll change his demeanor. Because I tell you what, if I was down there, I'd probably I'd do the old, what was that, Dubai, when President Bush got a shoe tossed at him?
Oh, yeah. He was in Dubai when, yeah. He was making a speech, and then you saw this one, then he ducked, and then the other one came flying the other direction.
The guy was nice, man. He was throwing a hook into it the whole night. I was like, damn, that's some fast throwing, boy. I said, that was good.
Yeah, that's one thing the Secret Service never planned on. Somebody threw the shoe. They look for weapons, but never thought that you could throw a shoe and make that into a weapon.
He had a hook on it the whole night, man.
Kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying?
I think Major League Baseball was trying to recruit him after they saw that. They was like, if this guy can throw a damn old shoe with that direction and that intensity, imagine what he can do with a leather baseball.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. But this weekend's been something, man. How's your week been?
Not bad, man. Very pleasant, keeping that kosher.
Okay. How was the experience for Kirk Franklin? The city.
You're referring to with Stephanie Mills. With Stephanie Mills.
No, I meant Kirk Franklin. I thought you were going out to that. Kirk Franklin.
Yeah, I didn't make it to that one. I did not make it to that. Yeah.
Okay. Because my wife and son, they worked it, and they said they had a great show. It wasn't that much of a big turnout, but everyone really, really enjoyed it. I said, that's really cool. And I remember you had mentioned when we were speaking earlier in the day.
Exactly. I was knocked out like a goldfish. I was knocked out like a goldfish swimming, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, you got to get that rest if you can.
Yeah, you got to get your rest in, man, I'm telling you. And especially, it's so ironic because, we work so many long hours in the whole 9 hours, but we never seem to get our rest. The rest is good for the body because it actually lowers the blood pressure. it lowers the blood sugar level also. We need that rest to put our bodies in check.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I've definitely noticed.
You know, it's odd. It's a culture in society today to not rest. You know what I mean? It's and what's the old saying? You know, I'll rest when I die,
Yeah,
or
well,
you know,
some of us have to keep that promise.
you know,
Some of us, work until they die.
exactly. And which basically, if they keep on working the way it is, they might die much sooner than they
Yeah,
would regularly. So balance, and we talked about this before. Balance is so necessary, but getting restful sleep, getting that real efficient,
yeah,
good restorative sleep, it's not
yeah.
easy, man. It's not easy.
It is not. It's not.
Not
It's
easy,
not.
no
But the
matter what.
body definitely needs it. You can't rob the body of it.
Mhm.
That's one thing you cannot do.
Remember the old fashioned way of doing stuff? If I go to bed right now, I'll get one, two, if I go right now, like somebody can go to sleep right now. I don't know anyone that has the ability. My wife is close, but have that ability to just close their eyes and go right to sleep, unless they're like so tired they can't help it.
Yeah.
But most of us, I remember in my early days, man, sleep, I'd be like, I can manage 3, 4 hours. And when I was much younger, yeah. But boy, it seemed to amalgamate and now it's all compressed into one thing. And I'm trying to, my body's like, no, we got some making up to do. You owe me about 10 more hours.
But you have to remember, because even some countries they actually start cutting the workday, so you don't work. So you have more time to rest, and that's what you're going to see a lot of happening from this point forward. With COVID and everything, as it has actually reset the clock on many things, and I believe on that level also, as far as the workers and the employers are concerned, you see a lot workers are going to get the job done, but the employers are going to have to work alongside with the workers, to make sure that they're not cold as ice, because pre-pandemic a lot of employers were treating employees like garbage, until COVID hit, and then they come to find out, hey, we can't treat these people like that because we have no employees now. So
Right,
a lot of these guys had to change the entire format in
right,
reference to how they actually recruit and treat their employees.
right. Oddly enough, this it's a connection with something. My son is presently in college, taking college courses, right? And he's doing a comparative essay, or he's developing a certain understanding on a one subject matter for a type of paper he has to do and a presentation he has to do. So he picked and chose obesity in America. So in his whole concept of obesity, he started talking about how other countries, he did some studies how other countries will start implement exercise in their workday for their people, getting up, stretching, moving around. And we've seen this in Asian countries. We've seen them in some other Asian countries where they've gotten their workforce to come outside and do some stretching, a little bit of yoga, and it's helpful, it's essential. But these same countries also have constituted parts where people they give them an excessive amount of time if need to, or an extra amount of time so they can take a nap, a power nap while they're working. So if their hours are 11 hours, they sleep an hour, hour and a half. They exercise for about a half hour, so it's not a full 11 and a half hours. It's a good 5.5 hours work. It's just the other parts are part of the wellness package that they're creating for their workforce, so they become more efficient. Didn't Google do something like that not long ago when they first instituted that campus up in outside of Oregon?
Yeah, some
They
of those
tried
Fortune 500 companies did start doing something along those lines. Yeah.
to, yeah. And Google was famous for that. How they had this whole really laxed, like they had no real desks. Everybody they had recliners and comfortable leisure chairs
Yeah.
and cushions and
I think
people.
Facebook also did the same thing too. They redesigned the employees' lounge to make it much more comfortable for the employees, to take a power nap. Because a lot of businesses will say, okay, we're going to pay you for 8 hours, but within the 8 hours, you're only going to get like a 20-minute break.
And you know what?
You know what I'm saying?
I
And
think
20
that's
minutes, no,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
because 20 minutes isn't enough to catch, a nice, restful nap, and some companies will say, well, we'll pay you, but you have an hour break.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. Power nap. I think that's the you had mentioned before. Hourly wages. When they pay you by the hour. That kind of mentality sort of promotes that concept. Like we pay you for X amount of hours. We need that many hours of work for you. Where if you have a salaried employee, you're going to get paid no matter what, how many hours you're on. They're going to get those hours that you want. Sometimes they get more hours than required because that's the way their pay structure is. So there's a benefit to it. But I guess when you get an hourly, you have more restrictions that you can limit the benefits for the working class than you would have to for people who are offered a salary wage. You
But
know,
the thing about it is also because remember, even though you have the employees who have the hourly and then you have the salary, you have the jobs and you have the careers. You have different brackets. If you have, you have a salary employee, more likely you're looking at a career move, or you're looking at a job, you're looking at, an hourly wage. So you have the two different ones on both sides. But
right,
ultimately, the job that you actually own is, I've always mentioned this, is the one that you create for yourself. You and your family. And a lot of these jobs came up out of necessity, because of a lot of people sick and tired of the corporate or working in a 9 to 5 job. So they created their own business. I've seen a lot of people actually go to work for like a loan care business, and a few years later they have their own loan care company. So they learn from these guys, and then they run competition and take away some of the businesses that they know best. So that's the idea, right? The plumbers, electricians, carpenters, the whole 9 yards. These
right.
guys actually learn the trade or whatever, and then eventually open up, start working for themselves. There
Yeah,
was a book a few years ago. It's called A Millionaire Next Door, and the millionaire next door, come to find out, it was local mechanics, auto mechanics, plumbers. These guys are the true, real millionaires out there, but you won't know about it because they don't brag about it.
right. Blue tax workers, right?
Exactly.
If I'm not mistaken, the person who wrote that book that you're talking about, reference, also made the 4 Hour Millionaire. So I have two of his books, and it's just like logical stuff that makes sense. It's like duh, but we don't pay attention to those things. We don't really consider those things. You know what I mean?
That's society. That's society today. We don't pay attention to a lot of things. I mean, a guy could be working in a job or whatever the case may be, or 2 jobs, but you don't know the benefits that he's actually getting from both jobs.
Right.
And there's a reason why he's doing that.
hmm I remember.
Only Fortune 500 companies have pretty good benefits for their employees.
Yeah. Yep. I remember when I was employed at Trump Taj Mahal. I used to always speak to all the individuals that come from other countries to try to make them feel comfortable. I know they were going through some hard times.
Okay.
And I've gotten familiar with a lot of people coming from Pakistan and from Bangladesh, and some of the things were brilliant with their whole concept. And all I kept thinking was they have the actual formula for wealth here in America. Self-sacrifice, taking the smallest bit of personal gain, and making sure that what money is earned makes money for itself. I remember listening to one guy say he worked at Taj Mahal cleaning the kitchen so he can ensure that he always had somewhere to eat, so he didn't have to spend money to feed himself, so he didn't have to worry about that.
Logical.
Right. And to work there afforded him that opportunity. He wasn't worrying about the insurance because he was working somewhere else who had better insurance. And I think he was doing like taking out trash, garbage, something like that. But he had insurance for that. So he had food. Where he stayed, he was helping to manage the property was. So he got free housing. So he had free food, free housing, free medical. He did all that stuff working those jobs, still collecting a paycheck. It wasn't a big paycheck, but he still collected a paycheck. So it was brilliant because he was taking as much out of the job as it can afford him. And he, I saw him, I'm talking about conversations I had with him initially some 15, 20 years ago. Just seeing him not too long ago, beautiful Mercedes-Benz. He has multiple homes. He's bought homes galore, and he's done very well with himself.
Okay.
I kept thinking to myself, my man had the formula earlier. I said, imagine if we, instead of the majority of Americans criticizing these people who are immigrant people who come from other countries, we learn from that and maybe change our perspective and get our asses in order. Maybe, or maybe not. It's a trip, though.
It is. It is. But like I says, a lot of these people come from other countries and stuff, and they learn the American way in doing things because they're coming from nothing to something,
Yeah.
and they're making something out of what they have. It may not be a lot to you being here for many years, but it's a lot to them coming to this country.
Oh, yeah.
and starting from scratch. Yeah, I can empathize with that. Been there, done that.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when we just talking about comparison, you said something about where they come from. They don't have the amenities that we do. So, every bit that we sometimes disregard, to them, it's, the
Right.
paradise, wealthy, it's wealth within itself. I remember taking my wife and son to visit where my father had a farm in Puerto Rico. And she wasn't aware how people lived, country living, in Puerto Rico,
Okay.
not having windows, not having concrete floors, still dirt floors and what have you, living
Mhm.
on the bare essentials and living happily. And she just could not fathom that. And from that point on, it sort of changed her perspective. It was like, yeah,
Correct.
but it's the American way. Sometimes we get insulated in our comforts, and we get so comfortable with our comforts that we don't realize that they're actually luxuries. And in other parts of the world, they don't have these luxuries. So when they get here and they
Right.
get these benefits, man, they're living it up. They're living it.
It's no different like the people in Ukraine. I
Yeah.
saw an individual today on television, and she says, 1 minute, we're all enjoying life as we know it, and then next minute you're running like hell for your life,
Absolutely.
and that's crazy.
It's a shame. You see the videos how people are, and I always say, man, no one. You never wish war upon your enemy, man.
No,
Because the war itself, not only do you have to worry about bombs flying over, but once the bombs end, that means you have to like pick up the pieces, and that could take eons to try to pick up the
of
pieces, man.
course. They said that the ruble, which is the Russian money,
Yeah.
compared to the dollar, has dropped so substantially. It's only
Neg-
worth about a penny or some nonsense like that now.
Then they say it's in the negative now. I was like, dang.
It's way in the negative. It's way
Mhm.
in the negative. Now, this guy bombs the hell out of this country, tear the whole buildings. How are you going to rebuild? How are you going to rebuild? You can't. You can't. You can try to rebuild based on your destruction, but ultimately it's going to take a monumental amount of time to try to rebuild the whole entire country. That's ridiculous.
It's sad, man. If
It's ridiculous.
you ever seen pictures of Afghanistan before the war?
Yeah,
Beautiful country, man.
yes, it
Beautiful
was.
cities and so on. A lot of these war-torn cities were beautiful, monumental architecture.
But
I
this
mean,
is
beautiful landscaping. And war came about, and now it's rubble. It's
Afghanistan is very difficult to, when you explain about the war in Afghanistan, because prior to the United States getting involved in Afghanistan, the Russians were actually fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan.
uh-huh.
Because it was ISIS, as a matter of fact. It wasn't the Taliban. It was, well, ISIS and the Taliban is the Islamic State. But those guys were tearing up every damn thing in the freaking country in Afghanistan. It was the ISIS,
Yeah.
and now they're running the whole damn country. But
It's
now a lot of the assets are totally frozen, and they're like, how do you expect us to, you know, help rebuild our country when we have nothing here?
and it's a
And
shame,
it's
man.
the same thing is going to happen with Putin and Ukraine. Even if he takes over Ukraine down the pipe, the people that's going to be working for him is the people that's going to be pissed at you for tearing up the damn country from what it was from the get-go. What
Yeah.
makes you think that they're not going to try to assassinate you? You'd be very ignorant and naive to think otherwise.
He's not coming in with flowers, I'll tell you that, boy. That's the bad
No.
part. And you see how many people have already fled the Ukraine?
And
I
still,
mean,
they shut down all of the freaking TV stations, in Russia. Some of the people from Russia is even get the hell out of there.
hell yeah. It's a trip. Like, as I always said, I enjoy using other nations and their news sources to get a full, perspective. Gravitas was doing a DW, matter of fact, DW, which is a German news company. They were doing a broadcast from Russia, and it was a trip how they were saying, the people within the borders of Ukraine, they're all like leaving. They want to leave that area because they know that there's going to be some fallback. If it's not the Ukrainian people, it's whoever the ally is going to come in. It's going to be some fallback, and they're all like really sincere. And you hear all these sentiments of these comments being made by Russian families about their soldiers. Even the recordings that you hear with the soldiers talking themselves firsthand, they were fooled and lied to about what they were
Yeah,
doing,
correct.
kept in there behind their own will, treated so badly within
That's
their own
one thing,
military.
out of all this, there's a particular passage in the Bible where God says, love thy enemy. You know what I'm saying? And and a lot of the Russian soldiers who were captured by the Ukrainian people and and their armed forces were actually given food and give them the ability to phone home, which is Russia, to tell their parents, "I'm okay."
Yeah,
That's deep, man.
I saw
That's
that, man.
deep.
That's compassion. Because you know what,
Of course,
you
that's
see a
deep.
lot of you hear war and destruction and see a lot of that kind of animosity. But we're talking about human beings, and there's a large grouping of individuals, of human beings that are involved in this stuff that aren't really wretched individuals. They're doing it because they have to. It's part of their duty of being citizens in their country. And they're very patriotic because they love their country for what is good, but they hate the fact that they have to put in a fight for somebody so evil like Putin.
Yeah,
And you hear it, you see it on the news, you see them talking, the videotapes, and I was watching that same thing you were talking about, how the guy said he was captured, and instead of being beaten up in the whole nine,
yeah,
they mended his wounds and then fed him.
yeah.
He
And
said
give
it blew his
himself
heart.
to
He said
the
these
phone
people are
home.
so kind.
Yeah,
I said that's deep. You killing them with
yeah,
kindness.
I mean, that is deep. That is
Killing
deep.
them with
Now,
kindness.
what about the other side? The other
Yeah.
version with the Russians capturing the people from Ukraine.
I wouldn't
Don't think that
believe
they're
that
going
the
to do
same thing
that.
is happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's sad.
Exactly.
It's sad, but the Ukrainian people, that Ukrainian front, and I said this, man, Ukrainian that resolve is admirable, man. With people not wanting to leave, they're not leaving for shit, and they're like, we're not going nowhere. Give me a
Yeah.
gun. You saw teachers that are just teachers, never fired a weapon. Because I have a
Yeah.
gun and I have to go home and practice because I've never seen a gun. I'm scared of them, but
Yeah.
I won't.
Exactly.
I'm gonna finish. I was like, that's something, man. That's an amazing resolve to have to face.
But at the same time, the UN and the United States is like, we can't really get involved in this bad boy because it's going to end up being World War III.
Yeah, that is
Because we
sad.
jump on the side of that, China's going to say we're going to jump on the side of Russia. India's going to come on board. Then you have Australia, Great Britain, and all of these different countries, and you're going to have another freaking world war. But
You
this time, the difference is with nukes.
Yeah. Did you see how Emperor Xi, that's that his name, right? Xi Xe.
Yeah, cheap. Yeah,
Yeah. He's starting to feel the pressure. He
yeah,
apparently made a phone call to Putin, is talking to him, said maybe you need to reconsider
exactly.
this discussion.
Because I told you last week, she had Taiwan in mind, but the experiment is freaking Putin. He's the experiment. You know what I'm saying?
He was scared.
It's
They
like
exposed
America.
the shit out of him.
It's like America when everybody voted Donald Trump to be president. That was an American experiment went totally awry. We created a freaking Frankenstein because even Trump is talking that nonsense now, saying that Putin isn't smart. But you're the same one was Putin lapdog not long ago. You're
All
the
that
same
discussion.
person that loved Putin and you love Kim Jong Un, and you say you love these men.
What do you
These
say?
are the people.
Such a sweet man. Such a sweet man. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, sweet, all right.
Yeah.
But I found it kind of funny how the same day, like I said, watching Gravitas and all stuff, you see the reports and everything. Reports saying that Japanese naval ships have already executed surrounding the areas around Taiwan for defense of their military support in the ocean. And it says you have U.S. naval ships already on alert in Honolulu.
Mhm.
All that same situation. So China makes a move to Taiwan, they might get their asses handed to them on one front, which causes it kind of tight because you have a military issue on one side and a military issue on the other side. They're gonna go panic, man, and it's sad. And India be like, "I told you so. Stay away."
It's crazy. Everybody right now is sitting on the edge of their seat. There's no doubt about it. The entire world is sitting on the edge of their seat. But the thing about it is, that's also a trip. Is how the oligarchs, they're actually seizing all of their, I believe it was in German or one of these foreign countries. There's one of those Russian billionaires. My man had a $600 million yacht, and they squeezed that bad boy.
Abramovich, they're talking about 100 billion. I was like,
that's what it was.
Abramovich, yes, that bitch, that ship is no joke. I've never seen.
Okay, I may come in the middle of that story then.
I could never fathom the size.
Is that the one that they said is almost as huge as an airline,
an aircraft carrier. It's as big as an aircraft carrier. It has 3 helicopters. How the hell you have a
That's
3
the one. That's the
helicopters?
one. I probably came in the next. I got you.
The shit. I mean, it's huge. They showed a picture of it trying to go through a Suez. I think it's the Suez Canal. It was so big that it had like inches in between the walls. That's how huge it is. The Suez Canal is huge. They said this ship is so huge. Who the hell wants a ship that big? You can basically put all of the people of Russia on the ship. That's how huge it is. It's disgusting how huge it is.
Yeah. But
It's
they season a lot of their assets like crazy. There was another dude that got his stuff too. You know, then there's this young kid that's actually tracking all of the oligarchs their flights.
Yes.
he's like one just landed in Newark International and is taking off right now.
I saw that. I was cracking up.
Funny.
He said he did that just because he was curious about stuff. Then he started seeing how it can help. He was like, "Yeah, I'm doing it."
Yeah, everybody's kicking in like crazy, man. Even Microsoft even says, you know, today they're going to get on board to help the Ukrainian government fight any type of hacking that's coming out. Then you have the group Anonymous. They came forward and they're like, the group of hackers. This says we're waging war on Russia starting today, and that was yesterday.
And Russia is known to be employing hackers all over the world.
Yeah, well, they got their work cut out for them now because, like I said, they're going to be going toe to toe with Anonymous.
And it was crazy because did you happen to catch the State of the Union with Joe Biden the other day?
Yeah.
His closing statement to me was like something that really has to be looked into. He says he don't know what's coming for him. I'm like, oh shit, Uncle Joe just posed something that he got to really worry about. What is he doing with all these different threats?
Well, like I said, they're going to be throwing sanctions and seizing a lot of their stuff. Even the Attorney General said, you know, any company that's doing business in Russia, guess one of the companies that's still over there? McDonald's, Burger King. These guys are still over there. McDonald's has 100 different restaurants in Russia.
Yeah, major corporation, American corporations. Yep, Nike. There's a lot of our retail businesses are there, man, and that's it.
They're going to have to pull it out because, like I said, you know, the government, you know, is not playing with them.
Our sanctions are not allowing any of the products going back and forth. So the McRib is no longer available. You're gonna have to get McPotatoes and shit. Just leave it at that.
Well, eventually they're going to shut down those restaurants over there until this thing is all done and over with.
Yeah, if they're not shut down already, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that everyone's like really feeling, and I said this a little earlier, the crude oil, because crude oil is the #1 export of Russia all over the world. It's giving them the leverage. They're not able to really pass it out except for through China, and China's limited to where they can go. So they're not getting their funds, the resources, and we're all feeling the pinch because it's always that trickle theory, the trickle around. I ain't gonna say trickle down. That's why we're seeing regular gas at $4.06 a gallon now, versus what we saw last week at $3.30. You know, we're feeling the trickle around.
In California it's $5. You know, premium is like $7.
Crazy. Like you better pull out that bike out that garage.
Well, a lot of things are going to change, my friend. A lot of things are going to change. Mm-hmm. You know, you have a lot of those rideshare drivers and stuff out there. They're not going to be doing the same thing like they would because gas is way too high.
Yeah. Price of Uber is going to have to go up.
And Lyft and all that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah.
Everything.
You know, the trucking and truckers, the whole 9 yards. Anything transportation is too high.
Yeah, it's a pinch that's going to really trickle around all over the place. Everybody's going to feel it. So it's time to really tighten up, y'all. Best way possible until the time comes, because I don't see a quick turnover of this situation. If, let's say, Russia finally spits the whole situation, he doesn't want to look like he gave in, and he has a conversation with Zelensky, and they come to an agreement, and all of a sudden it ends. It's not gonna, like, the switch is not gonna be hit overnight, and then we're gonna go back to where it once was. Hell no. This has already created a ripple effect that is going to affect many, many people. If it doesn't align it, then it's just so many things. Like I kept thinking about this and listening to some of the strategists talking about Russia moving forward this way. He can't step back because he already stepped beyond that return list, that line. If he does so, he'll lose presence in his own country. That means the potential of someone taking him out of his office. That means the whole image of Russian greatness is lost. And there's a lot of people in all and around Europe who have left Russia many years ago, but they're still very patriotic, willing to get into
Mhm.
it. So there's some degree of war that has to be done in his mind. So, but that's still loss of life, loss of resources, the economy being hit, the impacts of it trickling over to China, making them nervous even more so. India on the other side trying to figure out how the hell is it going to manage around this. And then you have North Korea that's still willing to throw down at any time because he's just batshit anyway. So this is a sensitive time. It's a real sensitive time.
Yeah, definitely. I said just like that song from War, the world is a ghetto. It's a perfect example. A perfect example. Everybody's on the edge of their seat right now, waiting for the next shoe to drop, not knowing. Like last night when they were shooting at a nuclear plant. You know, they were
Yeah,
actually shooting at a freaking nuclear power plant. You telling me?
crazy.
That's kind of like insane.
That is insane. And you know what? I was study watching this stuff and the impacts they kept saying, all the specialists saying, if something was to happen to that nuclear power plant, the last one they had to cease, not Chernobyl, but the last one was an active power plant. If something happens and destroys it, it will basically erase Europe as we know it now. Like the fallout, the nuclear blast, it would kill
Hmm.
millions of people in Europe. Europe would never be the same. Then the fallout would be something that would trickle hundreds of miles. I'm like, how fucking dense are you and wanting to enact war to say it's okay to blast something that can kill you and generations of your family members?
It'll wipe you and your entire family out who's waiting for you at home.
You know? Yeah, I hit the button. Yeah, I finally did it. You fucking dumbass. You just killed yourself and everybody else around you.
Yeah, because once the wind actually picks up all of those fuels, it's
Yeah,
going to take it right over freaking Russia.
the
It's going
fallout.
to take
Yeah,
your ass out.
the fallout is horrendous, man. And you know what? Today I heard somebody talk about one specific armament that Russia has. It's called Tarma Bomba, something like that. Tarma. I think it's PTARMA. Apparently, it's their largest bomb. They said it has 300 times the amount of megaton power as Nagasaki and Hiroshima. 300 times. They said if it was ever thrown out in, say, New York City, all of New York City would be gone. All of surrounding 100 perimeter around New York City would be flattened. And then the fallout, the nuclear fallout, would trickle over Midwest all the way down to like almost Georgia and into Europe and would continue for centuries. I said, one bomb. Imagine that. One bomb. And these people keep making multiple bombs. Like they're bored. I'm like, this is where you need to put all the arms
Yeah,
away.
but the thing about it is because, the thing about that's really crazy because obviously we have warships, off the coast monitoring all that. So once anything goes up into the air and they say it's flying across and these boys spot it, we're going to have a bomb headed in your direction at the same time because it's
I'm,
going to be an eye for an eye right above that point. It's
I'm
going to be
waiting
an
for
eye
them.
for an eye.
I'm waiting.
It's going
I'm
to be,
waiting.
and like I said, and if you don't think we're joking, ask the Japanese what happened to them. It stopped that war instantaneously, and that was
Uh,
many years ago.
all I keep thinking is, if these people were really understanding how technology is, they would be concerned when they see that military airship or that boat with the rail gun on front. That shit comes your way, you're in serious trouble. We're talking about something that doesn't need to be refilled, continuously shooting until it falls apart a half hour later. And it can shoot hundreds of miles away like a laser. I'm like, you got something, like you put something in the air, it's going to shoot you down, the missiles down, everything else around you within seconds. That's some serious gunpowder.
That's that's part of the U.S. Artillery.
Mhm. Yeah, they said that when you watch something which I laugh at sometimes, the history channel and the military channel, it talks about the greatness of the military, and it talks about the greatness and ships all over the place, and they always tell you where they're stationed. They're stationed outside of the Arctic Circle, the military Nevada class submarines with the super missiles outside of the Arctic Circle. They keep them out in Norway. You have some in the Black Sea. You got some over in outside of Australia. They're all over the damn place, and they keep them there specifically. And in addition, Antarctica is a military base that has no joke, a
Yeah,
fleet in
I've
Antarctica.
heard of that one.
I'm like, they're ready. I'm like, yo, that's no fun. In the idea that at any time somebody's bad attitude could end us all, could end us all. But that shit is crazy. Like I said, the rail technology was something I just stumbled on. And it was curious because I'm a sci-fi freak, so I'm always looking at shit, Star Wars, whatever. I'm always seeing it. So when you talk about new age technology, I'm always looking like, okay, something I saw years ago when they say if you see it in a movie today, it was already devised, created, and then formulated to be real life some 10 years ago. Except for some of the high tech, super high tech shit, but the majority of stuff has already been built, so it's there. So I'm looking at stuff, and they talking about railgun technology, and I'm like, is it the railgun that I've seen in comic books before? And it's like, hell yeah. And when they saw something that uses kinetic energy to shoot out of this barrel, out of air, it's shooting energy. It's not taking bullets, it's shooting energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's creating energy and shooting energy. I'm like, if that ain't some boss shit, that's some shit you got to worry about. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, with some of those stuff, you can shoot electricity that collect just like a stun gun.
Yeah, Tesla was mastering that, and that's why they killed him. That's a shame. He was mastering that. The funniest weapon that to this day I would have thought, you know what, if they destroyed all nuclear weapons, do that and that'd be good enough. Is the one when they use sound. They blast these huge these huge speakers. They blast sound at long distances to annoy people. Sometimes nauseate them and cause them distortion. And in some situations, they shoot like crazy ass music, country music at you at 100 miles an hour. It's like, damn, that agony and pain.
it gets to them.
Yeah.
There's different ways in tormenting your enemy.
Yep.
And that's what it really boils down to.
Like I said earlier, I said America still owns Patriot missiles. They still own all the different type of long-term, short-term missiles to defense, air to sea. Immediately when a weapon goes up in the air, all kinds of missiles is coming. It has all kinds of shit like that. So imagine, with all that stuff going in there, the fallout, all over Europe, the type of penalty, burning iron, all kinds of gasoline fires, and people are getting burned up because this old ass guy Putin wants to just destroy the world because he thinks he's the bad man.
Well, he's trying to rebuild the old Russia, the old USSR. He's trying to pull everything back together again. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
He's like Mr. Humpty Dumpty,
It's a shame. It's a shame. He's been talking about it. Remember I said before, him and Trump, they're believers of old mythology, all Norse god mythology. They talked about the rebuilding of the Norse, and it's really sad, man. It's sad how the world has to suffer with crazy ass people at the helm.
Yeah, well, like I've mentioned that many times before. The four horsemen. Mm-hmm. One comes from the east, west, north, and the south. There's no doubt about it. The four horsemen. They're there. The four horsemen of the apocalypse.
There's a lot of symbolism in all the stuff, and we can always revert back to the symbolisms of the scripture they're talking about, because there's a lot of truism in it.
Yeah, in Revelation.
Yeah, there's a lot of truism. There was a book written called the Four Horsemen, right? There's a book written by a United States government agent some years ago. I think it's in the early 80s.
Hi, how are you?
Not bad. How you doing?
All right.
I'm trying to remember. I know I got the book somewhere, but it's called "Behold the Pale Horse." That's the name of it. "Behold the Pale Horse."
Okay.
And, it's an ex-agent of the military. He wrote a book about some of the untruths and truths and checking it out. And it continuously shows, and it shows the basis of it has to do with the four horsemen. Behold the pale horse is one. Pale horse is supposed to be saying the bringer of death. Pale horse could be symbolically saying Putin, because his ass don't get any sun. He could be the pale horse. It's sad.
Yeah. Four horsemen of the apocalypse. You have one from, the east, the west, the north, and the south.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just hoping something to come about, that we have some peace somewhere, man, because I don't know about you, but I like being alive. I don't want to be.
Yeah, Mo, I don't know about you, but any day above ground is always a good day to me.
Yeah, I agree on that.
It's always a good day.
I just don't look forward to being.
Especially if you have, a lot of people, worry about money and all stature and all that's nonsense. Because if you lose your health, you have nothing. And I was listening to, I believe, Steve Harvey, that actually says, my girl Renee there, You know,
every day.
yeah,
Yep.
you know, the thing about it is very important to have, you know, peace of mind. You know, a lot of us, you know, have, you know, a lot of things we need to be thankful for, but we're not being thankful for the things that we do have. You know, we worry about the things that we don't have rather than the things that we do have that we need to be thankful for.
That's that ISIS that keeping up with the Jones mentality, worrying about
That's
what
done
we
and
don't
over
have.
with, man. That's done and over with. That's done and over with.
It just shows each one of us, and knowing that we're a lot more wealthy than we'd like to admit to. You know, we're blessed.
Yeah, like the guy says, if you have food on the table, you're blessed. You know, you have your health, you're blessed. Some of those
Yep.
little things. You know, the clothes on your back, the whole 9 yards. You got a job, you're blessed.
Yep.
You know, just take those little things for what it is.
Very true. Very, very true, man. We're blessed to it. Oh, speaking of blessing, it was a blessing to receive that wonderful video you sent me of, what was it, a gopher curling?
Boy, I know that you would like that. I know that you was going to enjoy that. I said, let me say it to this guy.
I was cracking up. I said, yeah,
I
basically.
know that was going to get you. I know that was going to get you.
I said, that was
You know,
funny.
I'm like,
I'm looking at it, I'm like,
as
yo,
soon
was
as I
that?
hit that button, I said, he's going to be dying laughing off of this because he loves that curling stuff. And I said, look at the gopher. You know, actually coming down and jumping on it. Yeah.
Oh
And
my
you see the
God.
gopher was like scrubbing the floor.
All I kept looking at it was like, oh shit, did they actually teach them how to curl? No, that's not real. That's not. I was like, yo, that's really good computer graphics. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it was very convincing. Very convincing.
I was cracking up though. I was laughing. I said, yeah, that's a good one, Adrian. You got that one off. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because I know you're talking about curling. I said, let me send him this video right here.
That's psychotic curling action. That's right. That's the most violent sport in winter sports.
Exactly. A very violent sport, over football and anything else, you know.
Oh yeah, that's the boss of winter sports. Summer Olympics, different story. Winter sports,
Exactly. You know, I think if black people ever was to discover that game mode, it will be done. Game over.
There are some black players.
There are some black players. We'll tear that whole thing up.
There are some black players. The thing is we don't like the cold. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. We don't like the
cold. Because, back in Africa, it's not like you had the Jamaican bobsled team in Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I give it to them. These brothers really come back every year trying, and I'm like, they're getting better. God bless them. You know, it's cool, but we don't like, if we see some people.
Remember, their practicing was on the beach. It wasn't in the woods. Yeah, exactly. You know, so the curling stuff, we don't have any ice or skating rings or anything like that. So it has to be the gym. Yeah. You have to pick one of the West Side Complex or Uptown Complex gym and do something like that. Just grease the freaking floor with oil.
Right. That's hilarious, but it's just one of those type of things, man. But I find it quite amusing. Like I said, sometimes I watch it just for the raw. I ain't gonna say sportsmanship to it because I'm always looking at like waiting to see who's gonna get really beat down. Like they land the wrong way, how many flips they're gonna do. It looks like it hurts, but I'm like, okay, to each their own. I like the Summer Olympics more. But there's certain things I watch in the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, I like the Summer Olympics too. I enjoy watching my people, get down like that.
Yeah. Although in the Winter Olympics, I will catch some speed skating, because to me,
I like the snowboarding. Those boys are bad.
Yo, they cool. Yeah, all the jumps and stuff like that. Yo, it's something.
We're gonna have to go down the pipeline.
Yeah, on the pipe, the half pipe. It's something. I mean, it takes something. I always look at it. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I used to skateboard back in the day. But knowing the minute I get on that, I come back with all kinds of broken bones. My back slides.
Like I said, when you get to a certain age, you have to respect your age because your age is no longer your shoe size. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I don't have to get on the half pipe. I'll be on the bunny trail. I'm good. I'm good.
My friend back in the day, I'm like, dude, he's like, Adrian, I'm sore, man. My whole body's like beat up. Like, what the hell were you doing? Well, I was coaching these kids and stuff, and I decided to go running against these. I'm like, dude, you sick as hell. You're going to be trying to run a race with freaking high schoolers. Really? Like, dude, you should have done that back then. You know what I'm saying? They call it a day.
Oh, my God. Hilarious. I had two different situations where my son got to see me forget how old I am. One, we were playing volleyball, beach volleyball. And this was I said good, maybe 6, 7 years ago, playing beach volleyball. When you're younger, you would dive for the ball and everything. Once you get the understanding of volleyball, you know what to do. So I'm going and I'm trying to make a save with the volleyball. When I landed on my ribs, it took a minute for me to get back up. It hurt so bad for a couple days. I forgot the give. My ligaments aren't as strong as they used to. I felt all kinds of pain after that.
Man, look,
You
when you
couldn't tell
start
me in
getting
my
up in
mind.
age, when you start getting up in age, you take life very gracefully.
Yeah.
You don't start doing no stupid shit. That's all there is to it.
Oh my God. And I remember another time. I used to run a summer camp with children every year, right? And so I would always interact with the kids playing different sports or different games. So we were out shooting hoops at a basketball court, and the ball ran off, and I went to go save it. And it was such at a low, and I was like, okay, my mind says, I know I can get it because that's nothing I haven't done in the past. What my mind wasn't telling me is I can't respond to it as quickly as I used to. So I went for the ball and ended up doing a barrel roll. That barrel roll it bruised my ribs. I couldn't breathe for a while.
Rightfully so.
It,
Rightfully so.
it was funny as hell because my son is laughing at me, and I'm sitting there laughing at myself, trying to catch my breath, and I just couldn't at the time. They're like, "You want to go to the hospital?" No, I'll get there. I'll get there.
When would you guys ever learn? That's all I gotta say. When would you guys ever learn? You start getting up in age, you take life gracefully because the bones just doesn't mend the way it used to. You have to understand that.
Right. Ask me if I did that again.
I don't have to ask you because you pretty much based on the first experience. I know it's like once bitten, twice shy type of deal.
Yeah. The first one was basketball on a basketball court. The other one was volleyball. Yep. Beach volleyball. That's okay. I used to do it. I'll just talk about the stories when I used to do it. I'm good with it.
That's what I do. Back in the day, I was off the hook, off the chart, off the map. But
Right.
today, I'm taking life easy. You know what I'm saying? I have nothing, damn thing to prove to nobody. That's just the bottom line. Been there, done that.
We should naturally get the benefit of that when we say stories, and no matter what, could nobody beat? Our stories are always grandiose. Yeah, I was the fastest guy on the block. I can run the furthest, the strongest. Yep. Mm-hmm. And in case you know that, no matter what, don't try to fact check it. It's just for the story's sake. Just listen. Because in our minds, we were the best.
Well, the thing about it is because I remember my nephew, and my both of my nephews, as a matter of fact, was having a conversation. And both of them were bragging about which one is better than the other one. And that was pretty interesting. You know what I'm saying? So I told both of them before you guys were even born, I was doing the damn thing. So let's start with that.
Right.
Now you can go sit down.
Right. I had a similar conversation with my son. My son was, he loves basketball like I do, and he kept talking about this and that. I said, boy, I got so upset. I said, I'll go 1v1 with you right now, whatever it is, give or take. If I lose, you can have this and that. If I win, you can't ever walk on a basketball court again. You can't do this. He was like, nah, I'm good, Dad. I'm good. And from this on, I was like, you don't understand. I loved playing basketball back in the day. There's nothing I'm not capable of doing, at least for some bit of time now, still today, if I have to. Should it be a good, wise thing to do? Hell no. I know I'll probably fall. But the potential is still there. And the potential is just enough. That's all. Just enough. I still got my shot.
Just live life gracefully, man. I'm telling you. And let the young ones do what they do best.
That's it. I should just sit back and just,
That's it. You know what I'm saying?
And love the understanding of, you just got to respect the gray. I know. Just respect it, right?
Even if you don't have any grade, but still respect it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Some of us
say, age is nothing but a number, but it also shows a sign of wisdom, too.
Right. Well, I mean, you don't look like you have a gray bone in your body, so you're good.
That's it. Because laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah. Indeed. So, but other than that, man, your week's been pretty good, productive?
Oh, certainly. Okay. Certainly, no doubt, no complaints. What about you?
Okay. Well, I've been tossing back and forth the whole concept. We are in our last week of our contract for the show, for the platform. And I'm trying to consider whether we should continue, or go back and rewrite, think about coming back in a different format, different way type deal, or just let it ride here and there. But I think we could do like one more show, like closing of the intent, because the way we did the new normal was basically because of the pandemic. And now that we're at the last stages of the public and last stages and stuff, maybe we could do a bon voyage of what once was and let it float out, and then we can revisit an idea of coming back in a different way. I don't know, different excerpt. Maybe we'll come back, just talk about music, or maybe we'll talk just small little jokes or something like that. Whatever it is, it could be a lot more jovial, something.
Food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
Food for thought, certainly, moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, a lot of things are opening up. A lot of people are not going to be indoors anymore, especially during the summer months.
Yeah. I mean, I still have the ability. Yeah. I mean, we still have the ability, like I said, with all the equipment that I have acquired throughout the years, you still got the ability to go anywhere and do a broadcast live with the cameras and the internet access and the microphones.
Well, like I said, maybe that's something that you might want to consider. Doing some remote shows here and there during the summer months. On the beach or whatever the case may be. There are going to be a lot of activities and festivities that's going to be happening this summer.
Yeah, well,
we did that. Pretty soon. Huh?
Yeah, we did similar to that in the beginning when we did the other podcast, when we did Two Fat Guys and a Vegan, we were outside a couple times. So we probably could enjoy ourselves and do mobile. I even got the drones. My cousin has drones and stuff. We can utilize drone technology and other spot. We have about at least 9 cameras that we can utilize at any time with the switcher to go back and forth from people's perspectives. Could be fun. It could be fun. Like we go to shows and from different perspectives. Now back to you in the hallway. How's it look? Yo, it's tight up in here. Go back.
Yeah, the thing about it is, because like I said, some of these conventions, they come into Atlantic City, whatever, like the boat convention and the automotive convention, some of these things, people will be interested in the ones who can't make it to will love just watching.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking? What do you think about possibly speaking to people out on the open and talk about their experience during the pandemic? Like some of the pros and cons, the highs and lows of their experience of the pandemic. You know what I mean? Because if the new norm was based off of the pandemic, let's find out what people's new norm is. We start asking questions. What was what was the hardest thing about you in the pandemic? And then people can say whatever it is.
Everyone has a different experience and a different story to tell.
Yeah. It can be so much easier because I'm pretty certain there's a lot of stories too, man. Unfortunately, a lot of people have passed away, but then there's other, like pandemics babies. The whole concept of pandemic babies, it's crazy. The pandemic babies, I see videos a couple days old, holding their heads up like nothing. Weeks.
What about the twos? Remember February 2nd, 2022, all deuces. A lot of people getting married on that day, and there was this one lady actually had a child. On that same date, and 2:22, in the AM, something like that. It was like real crazy.
Right. Renee said, "Pray for my daughter." We will pray for her. Yes.
Certainly.
Yep. But like we were saying before, I think it'd be kind of cool, man, because we like to see. We've always been supportive of people's advancements, their happiness, enjoying their lives. So why not continue to share? You know what I mean? It's not all grim. It's not all hardship. Not everyone has gone through suffering. However, those people that are, we still remain with them in thoughts and prayers and whatever we can do to help out. But to show some silver lining in the clouds, because there's a lot of people who started businesses. A whole lot of people started businesses, new ventures, new atmospheres. People got married, connected. People have had children. That's what I'm saying, and give way to the pandemic babies, which is crazy. This whole concept during the pandemic, even we were laughing, talking about how regions. We're talking again. You and I talked about the fact that my wife and I may be moving out of the area, and the area that we intend to move, of course, has its own critters. And we were talking from different other people of the critters and the type of stuff, and they're like, "Yo, these critters now, these are pandemic critters because they're like flying. When you never see them fly, now they're flying. You have other issues. They're growing a lot larger, and my wife is kind of scary." Or
so, where do you have in mind?
Region-wise, I think I said before that thinking Florida,
Okay.
Central Florida, someplace that we're looking into. It's a lot more pointing that direction than others. But we were looking outside of Atlanta, or the greater Georgia area outside of Atlanta. South Carolina, been nice. I know there's been some interest to going to Texas. So my main reference is going someplace where I don't have to face cold weather again.
I
I'm,
know.
I'm
After this
tired.
winter, you and me both, I'm telling you, line the ducks up and flying south.
I am tired of cold weather.
Yeah.
I had to explain to my son when I'm sitting in the house and I have to wear a hat on my head. I'm tired of that. I'd like to be just warm. I like to, only have to
Well,
worry
not
about a
only
face.
that, the cost of living all around the country has grown exponentially,
Yeah,
and that's a problem that's happening.
skyrocket. Yeah. And one of the dilemmas that it seems to be growing more and more is there's a housing crisis all over the place, especially areas where tourism or where people are migrating. And then one of the main reasons why there's a housing crisis because the new age investors now are buying homes like crazy only to convert them to Airbnbs, short-time rentals. So it causes people who want to live there year round a hardship, because the cost of living goes up and it makes it very, very difficult. So now in areas like the places I'm looking at near the ocean type deal or near the Gulf, or outside of that region, 5-10 minutes away, where you would think a nice house could be 200,000-300,000, now they're 400,000 to 700,000 to be an average house. And the cost of the house, and it's like, yo, you imagine the cost of the resources. First off, you have to retire to the area. You have to be independently wealthy just to retire there. In essence, to retire. And if you're not retiring, you have to work there. There are jobs. It's just that, again, like we talked about before, you probably have to work 2 or 3 jobs to maintain some sort of life. What kind of quality of life is that? So it's making it hard for people to do so. But,
Well, not only that, the Feds are getting ready to raise the interest rates also. So that's going to be a situation on hand also. Everything from purchasing a car
hell yeah.
to credit cards to everything. They're getting ready to raise the interest rate. So not
Yeah.
only that you're going to have a higher gas mileage, you have high gas mileage, you have high rent, then you have the cost of living, food and all that kind of stuff is going through the roof.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have a higher credit card bill. All of that is a recipe for failure.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for failure.
There's so much in that, you know what I mean? The
Yes,
cost
a
of
recipe for failure.
there's so much. But I'm still hopeful that Central Florida is our destination. Not
I
only
met a
because
real estate agent from down there this past week, as a matter of fact.
say it again.
I met a real estate agent
Did
from
you?
Florida. Yeah. So she's like, when you're ready or you know anyone, just let me know. So
Okay. That's cool. I have some family members that live in that direction, in that area. I have quite a few family members there. So I'm always telling them, I said, when it's time for me to go, I'll make sure I call you in advance to let you know what it is. I need the scoop. I'm going to probably stay with you for a short bit of time just so I can get familiar with it. And then once I'm able to make purchase, then I'll gather my mom and the dog and everybody and we'll haul ass down there, that type of deal. But I want to make sure everything's secure.
yeah, a lot of people from up north is heading back down south because they say it's a lot cheaper down there than up here.
Yeah. But you know what? Even in doing that, there was areas like I know Charlotte, North Carolina was a really like a destination that a lot of people from Jersey and New York will go to.
Mhm.
And when you go down there, there's so many people in that region that are from this area that it's like the only difference you brought the culture with you. You got the people with you, so you have all that. The only difference is the location, of course, is greener, but then the weather. So those are the benefits of it. But if you're trying to leave an area because the people also are trifling and you do want to stay away from the area, then it's hard for you to move if everybody there is part of where you come from anyway. So and that jacks up the price as well. We had just ran into a friend of ours that worked at the doctor's office, and we didn't know that she moved outside of North Carolina also, and she moved near the Tri-Cities, closer to the Tri-Cities, and she talked about she had a 5-bedroom house, beautiful this way and that way. Said a lot of plus things, a lot of things to listen to. It opened up my wife's ears and so on and so forth. And I'm like, it's beautiful. You listen to it. You can live the life that you want. It's just that in times, sometimes you just have to be ready to give up some of the luxuries that you already come across to. Like if you move to an area outside of the greater city, and those greater cities aren't as advanced as some of the cities up here, so they're a little slower, a little different. They're still larger cities. And then you move in the rural areas in the country, you can find a nice big old home at a real good price, but then you have well water. Are you ready for that change? Or the sewage system, you have a well that you have to deal with that. A septic system is different, so you have to deal with that. Transportation, you have to be familiarity, the culture differences. You may not have resources to go to a doctor as readily or as close as you have it here. There's a lot of factors that you have to really consider. When you go down, historically speaking, when you move down south, it's supposed to be easy living. And at one time, it probably was a lot easier. But now, things have changed. Is it easier? I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to check it out, but I don't know how much easier.
Yeah. You have to, do your homework, do your due diligence.
Yeah, that's why another factor where I'm looking at also brings some sort of traction to it because it emulates what I'm accustomed to. It's off of the Gulf, which is a tourist destination. Beaches all over the place. Of course, Atlantic City's beaches all over the place. It's Florida. I'm born in Florida, so I'm raised around that. So, majority of people migrate from up east, up here, down there. So you're familiar with the culture. And then there's casino gaming not too far from where I'm living or where I'll be living. There's, matter of fact, a couple casinos in that general area. So if I needed to gravitate to gaming for employment, I already have work history. I can go down there. It could be an easier transfer into it.
Yeah, a friend of mine told me they have like 5 casinos down there. So
you have full blown casinos, and then you have these things called card houses. There's a few of them. I had a friend of mine, God rest his soul. Him and his cousin Jerome went down to Miami. My man Darnell Hood went to Miami, and they were intending on starting a school to help feed the school with dealers for cards. They had card houses in Miami, and there was a few card houses developing. This was some years ago. This was at least a decade ago. So I know they've developed, and now with gaming changing the ways that there's a couple casinos right side out of Miami, out of the major cities, outside of Orlando, outside of Corpus Christi. Cocoa Beach, Tampa. There's a lot. There's a lot. And where I'm desiring going, it's a major metropolis. It's got major league sports. It's got gaming. It's got all kinds of shit. So I'm not really giving up a whole lot going down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same here. Because I have a lot of friends that worked with me at the plaza that now live in Tampa.
Yeah.
So they open up a lot of these casinos down there. Hard Rock, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of me just making a phone call. That's it.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? Getting ready.
Yeah.
My wife and son working for Hard Rock. It's
make it easy
to transfer down there. So it's helpful. So it's helping. It's a lot of fingers pointing to that direction. Hopefully, gotta help me line things up so it'll be easier transition.
I believe you'll get it accomplished, no doubt.
Yeah, man. I'll send you a postcard, man. Come on down, bro. Come on down.
Yeah, like I said, all I have to do is just pick up the phone or get online, and it's done. Whether it's Florida, whether it's North Carolina, West Coast, I have people all over the place. All I have to do is just pick up the phone and make a call. That's it, and that's a beautiful thing. That's what you call a network.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, you've been pushing that forever, so you're true. Yeah. True. Definitely true.
And your network is your net worth. I always said that, A friend of mine just bought a house, down in Florida. I can't remember what particular part. She works in one of the casinos down there. So just a matter of picking up the phone.
That's it. Getting up little assets here and there. That's why I said now the mentality is how to transfer, how to create something now to be able to take it with me. Like buying a food truck, would it be smart, intelligent to buy a food truck here to take it down with me? I don't know. To develop more what we're doing. My wife, she knows how much we interact and how we enjoy at times having the show. Can we do it over there? I said, oh yeah, we can do it anyway. The show can continue while I'm there, You can be here or wherever you're going to be in the world, and then we still continue the way we're going. It's just being able to have a mechanism to create some income to be able to help support it. Is there enough can be done? Yeah, probably. Like the other stuff that we do, the jewelry, the t-shirts, all that stuff.
Mhm.
All that stuff can probably go 100 times faster and probably create a lot more revenue down there than it does here.
Yeah, but at the same time, putting this stuff online is very essential to making that kind of money also.
Mhm.
You have Etsy, who's one of those websites that you could actually create, and you sell your stuff right there on their website.
Yeah. You see Etsy's prices went up 6%.
Or
That
did
was
it?
a big complaint. Arts, a lot of independent businesses that are art oriented. Etsy sells a lot of their goods. So,
Mhm.
it's a big complaint. I hear a lot of complaints about the new fees that Etsy has.
Well, everybody's going to be jacking their fees up with this pandemic because things are not like it used to be.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, realistically speaking, we're in a situation where more people at home, so now they're creating. They create all these things and they want an avenue to be able to sell it. So they use Etsy. So if they're making all these hundreds of millions of dollars utilizing Etsy's would be stupid to not to try to really benefit from that opportunity and raising some fees. It's inevitable, and that's the ecosystem that you create.
True.
That's like in the beginning, Mark Zuckerberg. You know what I mean? He created Facebook, or the way the twins created Facebook, and the way things work. Did they think it would be an economic machine the way it became? No, but that later on saw how great and how big it was like, hold up, cha-ching. And it sort of gives you that impetus to move forward and that desire to do that. If you have it, why not? It's still a good opportunity. I think there's other ones starting to develop too. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's quite a few. It is Art Month, Arts and Crafts Month, according to
Okay.
the Home Shopping Network and QVC. They're saying month outside of it being Women's History Month, it is Arts and Crafts Month. So there's a lot of emphasis on those things, utilizing those different avenues. That's each just one. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, a lot of businesses profited big time with this pandemic being online. I mean, they made big money, like Comcast. Everybody needed a Zoom or some way to get on the internet to circulate, to talk to each other. And Comcast made out like a bandit.
Yeah. You know, I just saw something. Speaking of that, you reminded me of something that I have to look into. I don't know if you know anything about it, but now with the mobile internet hub that's starting to go around. I said it before. T-Mobile had it in the beginning. Their first one I've ever seen. I know Verizon has it because we have it. It's called the MiFi. But now T-Mobile is going head to head with Verizon, offering for $50 a month. You're having at least 50 gigabytes upload, which is huge because Comcast with high speed internet at max gives you 23 gigabytes upload. And we're talking about downloads. You get 500, 600, gigabytes at a time. You can see all the videos you want. That's just download. It's when like you're doing like we're doing video uploads. If you have a large amount of video uploads, that means your bandwidth is bigger. So for
Correct.
$50 a month, T-Mobile's offering this device that you can go anywhere. And for $50 a month, you have unlimited internet. You have a bandwidth that's huge, upload and download. It would make sense. So let's see how that goes. I'm gonna look into that even more so because if we can cut Comcast and cut them strings, see you Comcast, why not?
Yeah.
Just got to see how it goes.
Comcast is something else, boy. I'll tell you.
Man, it's amazing. If someone was to ever really look into the development of a massive corporation, Comcast is it. Starting in Philadelphia as a small little independent company, and consuming other little cable companies like Suburban, and then developing
Yeah.
huge the way it is, consuming other things up to the point now where they're so huge, they own Universal.
Yeah,
I
they're
think it's
behemoth.
they're
They're
huge,
behemoth. There's no doubt.
huge. Universal have companies all over the world. It is amazing how big this cable company that once started as a small little independent company in Philadelphia grew, and they're still in Philly, and they've grown so huge. Their home base is
Yeah.
in Philly, huge, and millions of people can't stand them because they're so damn expensive.
Yeah, they are. But eventually somebody's going to come up with something that's going to bypass them, I'm telling you, because that's how the world works. Somebody always have, You know, you don't have to invent the wheel, just reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. So with all the streaming is concerned, I think that's where the issue is. The concept of streaming. Once it came out, all of a sudden, Xfinity started getting nervous. Comcast, Xfinity got nervous. So people do streaming, then they don't necessarily need Comcast and Xfinity to stream or getting things up. You know, they stream through their phone, they stream through all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see how it develops. I can't wait for some solutions to come about.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
It would be. Cut that out, minimize some of the debt. That'll be good. Then we can afford possibly getting a full tank of gas.
Yeah, tell me about it. Eventually. Keep your fingers crossed.
Exactly. All right, man. We're at the last minute countdown. We got 8 minutes left till tonight's show. I'm probably, I'll hit you up. We'll probably do one last hurrah for this thing, and call a couple people that were part of the show in the past to see if they're interested in coming back just to be part of the last hurrah.
Okay.
But the contract ends Thursday, so we can't do the Friday.
Okay.
So let's say Thursday. But I'll hit you up. I want to see if I can get some people around just to say, thank you for coming on. Hopefully you're.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Gina, some of those guys send them text message in the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we can close it out early, ride it out until the sunset, and then we'll go back to the table and figure out what it is that we want to move forward, how we want to move forward from now.
Yeah. That sounds logical.
Yeah. So, my man, my brother, if you have some words that you'd like to share, this is the time to do it. The mic is yours.
Well, like I said, enjoy the weekend, be safe, the whole 9 yards, the basic stuff. Just be healthy and wealthy and wise for 2022.
There you go. That's how it goes. See, I cut the music off and everything, making sure that everyone has your attention. I guess in closing, let me make sure I go on. If you're interested, this is the New Norm 2.0 with Mo Delgado and my brother Adrian on the side. Our show is basically a impetus to try to help inspire you, inform you, and encourage you to make sure that you can continue to do the best you can to live life at the highest quality that you can, even in spite of the pandemic, world pandemic. What Adrian has done on behalf of the show is created this beautiful portal called thenewnorm.club. If you're interested, you're welcome to go visit our website, thenewnorm.club, and check out our archived information and the internet mall that we have there. And you're able to see tons of information and contacts of other people who are entrepreneurs that came on and spoke to us about their wonderful science and technology they have and services that they did. Even some of the inspirational stories that they've had getting to where they were to being such magnanimous individuals as they are. Go check it out. And as well, link up with my man Adrian's independent websites. It's internet-based radio, so you can get your soul on. You can get your old school R&B, or you can get your Caribbean soca, reggae, and what is it? Just
soca, reggae and soca. Just soca and reggae.
Okay. So if you're interested in a little Caribbean breeze, go check it out there. Or if you're interested in old school hip hop and R&B, you're welcome. You can go connect there. Either which way, we thank you for coming on one more time. We hope you've been inspired and keep encouraged. We know that there's a lot of turmoil in the world. Doesn't mean that we have to carry the turmoil within each other. It's very important that we continue to be very supportive of one another as we're going on through this thing called life, because it ain't easy, especially being alone at times. So whatever you do, be inspired, be inspirational. Not only be blessed, but be a blessing to others. We thank you for coming on, and we're hoping to see you the last day. This trip has been pretty good. For 2.5 years, we talked about a whole lot. Yeah. Had conversations with some interesting individuals. Really shared our experiences with one another, and I can say I'm thankful. I'm blessed. I've said it before, Adrian. I really appreciate every aspect of you and this whole process and all that you've done to encourage me and to encourage us and to do this. And without you, it wouldn't have gotten to successful in the extent it is without you. So, you're the man. You're my man.
It was very informative to bring a lot of the information to the people during COVID. So I saw that as being very essential. So, like I said, each one reach one. We take that information, we move ahead, and we help bless the other people, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So, in saying that, we wish you all have a blessed night. make sure you stay tuned because, like I said, we have probably one last engagement, and we're inviting everyone who participated in the show in previous times to come on down, say a few words in closing. Give us a little inspiration that you have in your life. Give us some, some good words to share with the people, and we can all close it out together. Maybe say one last toast to close out the new norm.
Yeah.
Because as the world opens up, maybe opportunities open up for every one of us, and we can really enjoy life the way we're intended to. God is good to all of us. Remember that. Just
We've made it through, my friend. I mean, 2 years of a pandemic. I mean, our generation have seen a lot with these eyes. You
that's
know, from having the first black man on the moon and first black women and everything. We've seen all of this. How everything came about. We've seen a pandemic, and now we've seen some. We're on the precipice of a freaking world war. We're
yeah,
right there. You know what I'm saying? So these guys, you have to pray for some of these leaders that they make the right decisions, that we don't end up in another freaking world war, that we've learned from the past to live for the present.
absolutely, absolutely.
And it's very
It reminds,
important.
it reminds me how Marvin Gaye created what's going on at that time frame
Yeah.
of so much uh, chaos going on at that time in the world. And his record label wasn't supportive of it because they were so scared of pushing it, but he did it
Hmm.
anyway. And it was iconic, and it still resonates today. Thinking to myself, is there an artist now developing that same kind of concept? Is he going to finally drop it on us so we can look and listen to this music and really lament and think about how life is and possibly inspire some changes for the good? Because sometimes we get inspired to do the bad, and that's not good. Not good.
I've also spoken, like I said, we're repeating so much from the past because the price of gas went up. We already know that. But now people have to be very careful because what I saw on the news earlier tonight, they're actually stealing people's gas, from their vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 70s, there was siphon, using a straw, a hose, and siphon the gas right out. But a lot of the cars have, the lids that actually locks now that you have to come only open it from the inside. So
Yeah.
what these bad boys are doing is crawling up under your vehicle and drilling a flipping hole in the tank itself. And then when the gas starts coming out, they catch the gas, and once something like that happens, as a mechanic myself, I know you have to. You cannot, do a weld or mend or anything to that. You have to replace the whole flipping,
Unit.
gas tank. And that is not cheap whatsoever. The average will go about $2,000
That's
for
sad,
the
man.
for labor and to have it installed.
Yeah. Desperate times call for desperate measures at times, man.
So if you see anybody running, crawling up on your vehicle, either kick them or run over them, because that's the only way you're gonna, because that's what's happening right now. They're stealing people's gas now.
Yeah. Just pay attention. If you have a tendency of going to fill your tank all the time, just be careful. There might be somebody listening on and checking it out that you fill in your tank, following the way to see where you are because they're going to try to tap your tank. So it's
Yeah,
just some of the
it's bad.
reality of life the way it is. We have to be careful for it. Let's hope
Definitely.
we don't see some of the harshness that we saw in the past, hoping that we can deal with it and deal with it better. But that's the fact of the matter. We have to just be very careful. Be vigilant to protect yourselves because your life is more important than damn gas. But even still, the fact that you spent so much of your hard-earned money to get gas, do what you can to protect yourself. Get that
Exactly.
lock. Get that lock. And then pay attention. That motion sensor within that HD camera, that dash cam could be really helpful to you. You might find out some idiot out here high on drugs and shit tapping your vehicle and causing you more of a dilemma, heartache. You can find
Yeah, a
out that.
lot of people are equipped in their vehicles now these days with onboard cameras. Because you never know when it's going to come in handy. A few days ago, I saw a really bad accident.
Right.
But I was one car behind, and it was on Fire Road and Washington Avenue, right there by Car Toys.
Right.
They almost went head on.
It's sad. Those car cameras are really helpful, man.
Yeah.
All I can think of was it's good to have them, especially if you have them internally and outernally, like looking inside the cabin. God forbid something happens and someone's trying to rob you of your vehicle from inside. You give them a ride or they sneak into your
Hmm.
car. You have an internal camera to check it out. Or if you see something peculiar happening outside of your vehicle, but not directly in front of your car or you're
Right.
behind your car, it's catching that from a distance, so it's helpful.
That's
It's
what I
really
have in
helpful,
mind.
real time helpful.
Exactly. Yeah.
The only downfall is some of these ones that are internet based also clock your speed. So if you have a tendency of getting heavy, somebody can use that camera against you. Just be
Well,
careful.
but
It's
there's
really
a
good though. They're
but
really
you can
good.
also go into the settings and turn it off.
Yeah.
Because I have one, and that's exactly what I've done.
Yeah.
Go to the settings and turn it off.
Yeah. I'm looking at one that I saw on the internet, and it talked about how what it has is pretty fly. It looks like it looks like a rearview mirror, and it has the different screens, and it's pretty wide. It's a wide one, but it has a digital screen to it. I think it's Xiaomi or something like that. Widescreen cameras on both sides, catches the cameras on the sides, full 360 degrees, infrared time, shock. It does. The battery doesn't have to be on. The minute it senses something, it pops on. It's
Correct.
really, really fly, and it's one of those types that you order from an indiscriminate company. It's not like a big company somewhere in Asia, but they guarantee their product. It's really, really high regards that I saw that. I was like, yo, I like that.
Yeah,
Night
that's what I have
vision
in
and all
my
that stuff.
car. Mine is as long as the rearview mirror. There's a camera in the front, and there's a camera by, like with a license plate back there also. So I have two cameras in the back of my car.
Yeah, I think that's the only dilemma that I have to be considerate of. Because some of them come with a rear view camera, and I don't know if you can disable their camera for what you already have.
Well, with mine, I was able to incorporate both of them.
Okay.
So I ran the wires from the front running all the way to the back, and I actually attached it without interrupting the one that came with the car.
Okay.
So I positioned it just different.
That Penco Tech training came in handy.
Hey,
I heard that.
you don't know? See, the stereo because I had to do the same thing with the stereo. I took out the one that came in the vehicle and put another one in there, and I had to tie the camera back into the radio.
Yeah.
So every time you put the car in gear, you can still see the camera back there.
See, and me, I'm about to dive in to try to repair that issue that I had with my car for a while.
Yeah.
I got the replacement part, and I know how to do it. It's just that it's such a tight location that's the only thing that's stopping me from doing it. It's because it's tight. It's really tight.
One of these days, I'm gonna give you a call, and I want to swing by and take a look. I want to take a good look at the part that you're talking about and where it's at.
Okay.
And so I'll swing by and take a good look.
Okay.
Probably this weekend or something like that. If I'm free, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. I'll call you first, whatever the case may be.
Oh, that'd be awesome, bro. That'd be awesome.
Come around, take a look and see what's going on.
Yeah, because you want to laugh. You're going to see me try to crawl underneath the dashboard the way I was.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes you have to be a gymnast to do that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Yeah. I've never been afraid of getting into under the hood and all that stuff. It's just I don't want to damage anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not fully aware. I'm a tinker. I was never trained, so I'll tinker around. Okay. I can do things, but not everything.
With me, I'll rip the damn thing out. I go for broke. But I've been doing that ever since I was a kid. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's something comes natural to me.
Yeah. I'm someone like that. As they say, poverty breeds ingenuity. I guess in my disposition, we were poor. So I remember seeing my father remember the old school units that had a fireplace, a record player, and a TV in the same unit? I saw that converted into a bar, converted into a wall unit, converted into shelves, converted lastly into end tables. Because once one thing broke, he took it out and cut it and resized it, repainted, and the whole nine. It became something else. So I used to watch that continuously, so it inspired me. Like, there's nothing that you can't do with something if you take the time to think about it, And then fixing wise, sometimes you have to take it apart, see how it works first, and then put it back together, and you'll find out what's wrong.
That's how you learn. That's how you learn. It's like if you're driving a car and you ended up in no man's land. That's the only way you learn about that area is to get lost. And if you get lost, then you'll be able to find your way back. Now you know.
I tell my wife and son that all the time. I always say, let's go get lost. It's like, what? Yeah. Let's get lost. I love it. I've gotten lost and ended up in Canada. I know how to get back and forth into Canada. I've gotten lost out west. I've gotten as far as Ohio because I didn't want to go too far because I'm paying for a hotel. Got to Ohio, came back, all the way down to Florida, no problem.
Well, that's think about it. The beautiful thing about it, Mo, because you could go get lost and then just pull up Google Map. And then take you right back home.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And take you right back home. Easy peasy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the difference though. Now is
Yeah.
you got the GPS. Back before, that's when I was getting lost. So
Right.
we didn't have that. We had a
Yeah.
map.
I remember the Rand McNally maps. I used to use that going up to New York and stuff.
Hell yeah.
The whole 9 yards, reading the map and like write everything down and take those particular ways. Yeah, I'm familiar with those also.
Have some reading map. Turn left now. Turn left now.
Yeah, the Rand McNally maps.
Yeah. Now it's not getting lost. It's just put in the coordinates. That's it. You don't get lost.
Exactly, GPS.
Yeah.
So you can afford to go get lost, and then you can punch inside here. Where's the nearest gas station? You get some gas, and then you head back home. Beautiful day.
Yeah, I know. Remember before you used to run over gas station? Can you tell me how to get there? Yeah, go down about 10 miles, make a left, talk to Sam, ask him where to make the turn, but make a right turn. You get directions from everybody else. Now you got GPS.
Yeah, but sometimes you get directions from a guy who's a freaking idiot that doesn't know where the hell he's never driven anywhere, and that's the
half
problem.
the fun. That's half the fun. That's half the fun. Well, I'm crazy like that anyway. I don't mind driving. But we're steady going off on it, man. But I appreciate you, man. Again, this is closing out the show for this week. Next, the next show, like I said, we'll probably talk about this. I'll call you up and find out what we can do, what we should do moving forward, and then we'll make an announcement of what we're gonna do from there on. But until that time, make sure everybody stays blessed, stay encouraged. Make sure that you become even more blessing to others. And tomorrow's not promised, so enjoy today. But get some rest and take care of yourselves because that's most important.
Yeah, no doubt. You've made it. You've done this far.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make sure you test negative and stay positive.
That's right.
Deuces, my people.
That's right. All day, every day.
Deuces, my people. Deuces.
All righty. Peace out.